The Genius of Luffy, The Anatomy of One Piece. Guys, I'm excited for this video because on my journey to learn about One Piece, I was mainly interested in pirates at first. Then I got interested in like hockey and devil fruits. But when I started reacting to the show on my other channel, which is in the description, I discovered something. I stayed for Luffy. There's something special going on about that character. Let's see if we can figure out what that is today.
You know what I hate about online anime discourse?
I don't.
You could be riding high off the back of watching your favorite show. You could be expressing why you love it so much.
Sure.
And inevitably, you'll get someone chiming in with a comment like, chill out, it's not that deep, bro.
Yeah, no. As a Superman fan, good golly, because I'm like up here on Superman fan level, so I get told that quite a bit, right?
Like, there are most certainly ways of over-intellectualizing our favorite stories. And
sure.
Hey, if your relationship with a movie ends with the credits, then more power to you. But I think the idea that there's nothing more to discuss beyond general moment-to-moment content does a real disservice to, well, all of fiction, really.
Yeah, I would agree, because when these people write these things, for the most part, they're writing a lot more than you even realize. There's a bunch of stuff that's cut, a bunch of deepness that just won't fit. And yeah, I would say for sure, if just being like, that's not that deep, bro, that's not the best way to go about that. You just might not be seeing something somebody else can see.
There were those plot beats that I'm sure worked, like One Piece wouldn't be held up as a once-in-a-generation type story, let alone one its fans painstakingly dissect. Take the sport of boxing, for example. Sure. Anyone can jump in for big fights and have a great time, but those that follow the build-up of the fights, the psychology of the fighters, and the histories between them will no doubt go in with greater anticipation.
Okay, guys, that is a peak illustration, like absolute peak, because that's a great way to put it. It's like you have followed this whole plan, you've followed the thing that goes along, and you realize it's more than just big guy beats big guy. Like there's a whole lot more there than that, and the reason the emotion is so built up is because of all the stuff that happened before. It is that deep, bro.
But will also gain a greater deal of meaning from the actual event itself.
True.
And well, the way in which context and subtext informs events in real life is a pivotal function when applied to fiction. So I guess what I'm saying is, it actually is that deep, bro. And that has been my motivation behind
I thought I was stupid when I said it. No, boom, got it.
delivering this series of video essays, beginning right here with this one.
Sweet,
a series where I explore how the key players of One Piece function, why they are amazing, and through doing so, gain a deeper appreciation for Eiichiro Oda's story.
Okay.
And where better to start than with a character many people love, but some find one-dimensional, and I think is genius.
Okay.
I am, of course, talking about
Monkey D. Luffy.
Now, I want you to keep in mind, guys, I have not watched a ton of One Piece yet. I'm still early in my journey. So as I go on, I'm sure I'll learn to appreciate him even more. But he was, I'm not joking. You can go and watch my first reaction to find out. He was the first, like, the first big thing I noticed was like, I like Luffy. There he is. And there's the dude I don't really know very well yet.
Luffy's pronounced smile and boundless optimism conceals a much lonelier character. One filled with love and ambition, yes, but also one that deeply desires companionship. This need early on speaks to a child.
I didn't ever feel in the beginning so far that he needs companionship so much as he needs a crew. That's the way I see it, but I do see that he likes people and he likes friends. That is clear. So maybe he could be right on the needs part.
We won't see for quite some time, but the seeds are all there. This is all to say that while Luffy himself is an interesting character, where he shines best is through those he interacts with. In John Truby's book, The Anatomy of Story, he mentions that a common misconception about main characters is that they themselves are the reason the story is interesting. Now, he's certainly not suggesting Luffy isn't interesting. What Truby means here is that...
I've already noticed this about Oda, guys. Like, yeah, you've got your main character, Luffy, you've got all that stuff, but there are these stories, okay, I watched Shushu, right? The reaction to the episode was Shushu, and I was like, the whole episode is about this dog. But it fits in the overall encompassing arc of Luffy's need to be the king of the pirates. You know, it's amazing how he does that. It's really interesting. He's telling not just one story of Luffy, he's telling a bajillion stories.
In isolation, a character is made up of many different attitudes, opinions, and backstories, but it's how those aspects of their personality inform their interactions with the world and its characters that make them interesting. In other words, or to put it more simply, our interest in them is born from how our main character interacts with those around them. For example, Tony Soprano's a huge personality, but it's
never watched Sopranos.
how he navigates the world and speaks to people that brings all of the qualities we love and hate about him to the surface, highlighting and defining what makes him so iconic. And while Tony isn't a hero, the same applies to heroic stories like One Piece. Quote, "The single biggest mistake writers make when creating characters is that they think of the hero and all other characters as separate individuals.
Okay.
Their hero is alone, in a vacuum, unconnected to others. The result is not only a weak hero, but also cardboard opponents and minor characters who are even weaker."
That's interesting. Some of the best Superman stories are when he is connected to the overall, the people or whatever. That's interesting. Okay.
In other words, your hero can only be seen or felt as righteous by contrasting him or her to the allies that have their backs or the villains slinking around each and every corner. And if we keep that in mind, it becomes apparent
Well, light can only shine in darkness, so that makes perfect sense to me.
that Oda has designed Luffy from the ground up to be a character that necessitates great writing fundamentals. You've no doubt heard this piece of writing advice before. It's everywhere. Show, don't tell. While not a hard rule in and of itself, it's certainly a valuable piece of advice to heed. If all your hero does is talk about how great of a person he is, ironically, you'll not only fail to convince your audience of his virtue, but through doing so, you'll unconsciously demonstrate how he's in fact a narcissist.
That's true. I would agree with that absolutely. But that also can work in the parody sense.
So, to avoid this, Robert McKee says in his book Story, quote, "True character can only be expressed through choice in dilemma. How the person chooses to act under pressure is who he is. The greater the pressure, the truer and deeper the choice to character."
No, that's true, because if the pressure, if they're able to withstand the pressure to grow their character, I mean, you just end up loving that person.
In other words, if you place your character in a high-pressure situation, the decisions they make in those moments matter far more and mean far more to us reading along than whatever they could try to convince us of by yammering at our faces. It's like real life. Words are cheap, people can lie, and what's genius about Luffy's design is how he engages with the world he inhabits, how he forces those situations to take center stage naturally because of who he is.
Interesting.
まだ決めたわけじゃないさ。もしいいやつだったら。
I hope these little clips from the show do not get this video demonetized. There's a lot of videos out there that are already demonetized and you don't know and you're reacting to them.
悪いやつだから捕まってるんです。
Koby is one of the earliest characters introduced in One Piece, and Oda uses him as a sort of audience POV character, a litmus test of Luffy's qualities. He comes to understand that Luffy is a righteous person the same way we at home do, at least if you're watching the anime. Once Luffy reveals himself to Koby as a stowaway, Koby is put in a very difficult circumstance. He's low on the totem pole within his pirate crew, and he's got an obligation to reveal Luffy to his superior. But he doesn't. Now, this doesn't stop Lady Alvida later on from discovering Luffy, and once she does, she begins verbally disparaging and degrading the young Koby, who's now visibly terrified after being discovered.
Right.
And this all takes place in front of Luffy.
Yeah.
However, like we will see with practically
I love that episode too.
every single instance Luffy encounters potential new crew members, Luffy doesn't take what others say very seriously. He looks at their actions, and for Koby, he saw how scared he was, how much he stands to lose by not ratting him out, and has learned his dream.
True.
He knows that nothing Lady Alvida...
And I love how even though his dream was opposite of Luffy's, Luffy was like, go for it. You know what I mean? Like I say this all the time. He was Marines, he's pirates. They're like this, right? And he's like, go do your dream, man. You can do it. I believe in you kind of mentality. And I think that is what is awesome about Luffy. I really do.
Mellows can possibly be true about Koby.
He's not even picking a side, even though he's on a side. It's very strange.
Because Luffy has already seen Koby respond to a difficult situation by making the choice that was right for him. free from the shackles of his own mental and physical prison.
True.
Luffy was able to see what and who Koby truly is. And this is
I like
powerful
that.
because we at home get to...
This is why I said that from the beginning, I was like, Luffy. That's what, like, all this stuff made me interested. Like I said, devil fruit, hockey, pirates, you know. But when I got on the show, I was like, guys, I like Luffy. I liked his character a lot. And I'm telling you, he is what hooked me for sure.
experience that too. We get to appreciate Koby as a character now all the more because we too have seen him perform in this high-stakes situation. And this pattern is expanded upon with practically every Straw Hat pirate. For instance, when Koby, someone who Luffy now trusts, warns him about how dangerous Zoro is, Luffy remains consistent. Words are cheap, he knows Koby doesn't have first-hand experience, and he knows what others have said about himself and Koby. Maybe they're wrong too about Zoro. And through this approach, Luffy waits for a moment of character revelation. He waits for Oda to write a scene that demonstrates Zoro's true nature.
True.
食うのかよこれ
And guys, that whole thing, it broke me too. This is before Shushu, right? So I was already like, man, I just...
もうほとんど泥の塊だぞ
黙って食わせろあ
Oh yeah, I like that too.
This is what makes Luffy such a mechanically useful character in the narrative. Like the rule of thumb, he demands to be shown who people are instead of being told who they are. It's a simple but geniusly elegant character mechanic, and nowhere is that more true than in Arlong Park. For many, this is the first moment One Piece, quote, gets good, and while I don't agree with that statement as I thought it was
Interesting.
great from the start, this is the arc where Oda really places this trait of Luffy.
Yeah, it makes you feel like you don't want to invest in a 1,000-episode series when people are like, just hang on for the first, whatever episodes. Hang on. It's like, what do you mean hang on? Why do I got to hang on? And for me, the first episodes have been great. I have had like one or two where I was like, but not mad like, oh, I want to quit the series. Just like, I don't know if what I got out of that is going to be good for me today or if it's going to be good for me later. You know what I mean? Like, that's hard to tell sometimes.
He's front and center for all of us to enjoy, and as a result facilitates one of the most timeless story experiences I've ever had while reading manga. A series of deceptions are made by Nami, who's fooled her whole town into hating her, but not Luffy, who bears witness to another emphatic action from Nami, stabbing her own shoulder.
Man, people in this anime are absolutely invulnerable. If you've been watching me react to the show on my other channel, with Zoro, I could not stop just letting my mind get blown with how he wasn't dead yet from like a piercing to the colon. It made no sense. But I've since learned from a video on reacting to on this channel that you just kind of have to realize they're demonstrating their willpower. That's basically what's happening. And it's showing you how much willpower these people have. And you just have to get over stuff like that.
The symbol of her enslavement resides. A surface-level observation of Nami would suggest she's part of Arlong's crew. But the actions taken here shows that there's far more to this character, both literally and metaphorically. Reinforcing this principle that actions speak more than words do, no matter what anyone on the island says about Nami, no matter what she says to Luffy's face, her actions tell a very different story. A story of a young girl with the weight of the world on her shoulders, now crushing her to her knees. Moving mountains to push away those she loves in order to protect them, and in that moment, and in that emotional crescendo between Luffy and Nami, she cycles through all of her defense.
I haven't got to this part yet, so I'm not totally following everything he's saying. But when I get there, I'm sure I'll be on point. The emotional build-up will be different when I watch the actual show versus the way it is now. So sometimes I don't even follow, like, y'all, say I get spoiled on stuff. I'm like, I wasn't really there, though, because he knew what he was talking about, and I didn't.
Mechanisms right before his eyes. She physically throws dust at him, verbally berates him, and lies further. But as soon as she realizes that he knows who she really is, she breaks down in front of him, pleading for help. This same narrative approach can be seen with his recruitment of Usopp, Robin, and a host of others too. Every one of the Straw Hats is a lost toy cast aside in one shape or form, ignoring their dreams for one reason or another. Luffy, despite being a boisterous and upbeat character, demonstrates moments of quiet contemplation and observation
Yes.
as every single
Yes, I laugh every time they do that because it makes it just seem like he doesn't care. It'll show this shot and he's just like this. You know, and I just start laughing. Every single time I see that, I start laughing. But that's what's happening. He is contemplating in that situation what needs to be done, what he can do. And I never see it that way. I just see it as he does not care.
one of the Straw Hat Pirates proves themselves either when they think no one is looking,
If I can catch that face, I'll try to show it
or
to you.
when they are under serious pressure to act. This is taken to an extreme on Whole Cake Island. There are a host of elements to discuss when analyzing the Katakuri fight, and one can certainly point to a number of instances in this conflict where Luffy allows Katakuri to discover more about himself. But it's his hunger strike with Sanji following their bout that left me utterly speechless as a reader.
As a reader, so he's more coming from the manga side. I'd like to know how many of you have only watched the show or only read the manga or done both. Let me know in the comments if you're on both or if you did one first and then later you were like, I want more of it, so I'll just do it again, but in the other form. Let me know, because I'm very curious about that. Oh, that sucks. That
This
seems
is, of
quite
course,
unfortunate.
Sanji's arc, so to speak. And there's plenty of time to talk about him in another video, but with regards to Luffy's involvement, this is by far the most he's been pushed away by a member of his team. And this push from Sanji is carried out through action. He
Okay.
physically assaults Luffy and tears down his character, much like
Well, Luffy's physically assaulted many people so far where I'm at in the show. Even the mayor of a town just to help him out.
Nami's behavior in Arlong Park. This is all in the name of protecting him from the monsters in his closet. Luffy sees this, recognizes what's happening, and understands that Sanji needs to find his own way back to him. And where he waited for Nami in Arlong
Good
Park,
golly.
Luffy
Good golly. People, I've seen many videos on the females being ridiculous. I'm like, is that even her normal proportions, or are they just exaggerated for that one shot?
his own way back to him. And where he
Right
waited
here. Is that normal? And that seems even more exaggerated than normal.
for Nami in Arlong Park, Luffy takes this up a notch here, reserving himself to a hunger strike until his return. However, while I have explored this quality Luffy brings to the likes of the Straw Hat crew, this altercation with Sanji, as well as his run-in and subsequent conflict with Usopp in Water 7, speaks to another interesting area Oda explores with great results. And I think this element of Luffy's character has offered my 3 favorite moments in the entire series for me.
Oh,
The
interesting.
lead up to and subsequent eruption of Usopp versus Luffy remains the single most compelling sequence of character exchanges I've ever
Dude's got a cast on his nose.
come across. This is taking into account stories like Berserk and every film I've seen since I was a child. To say that this scene captures magic in a bottle would be an understatement, and it has everything to do with a narrative technique called structural opposition of desire. Dramatic situations are
Okay.
made most compelling when conflict exists as a structural opposition of goals. Now, that is some weird word spaghetti, but put simply,
Yes.
it means that if
For a guy like me, it means almost nothing.
one character gets what they want, the other character can't. While it's true that Luffy's goal is to become king of the
Kind of like in a love triangle when somebody chooses one of the people. Yeah, okay.
pirates and to find the One Piece, Oda took the seeds planted in those early chapters and built on them over time. Throughout childhood flashbacks, Luffy's upbeat and ambitious nature is underpinned by abject loneliness. A desire for companionship becomes crystal clear.
See, I haven't really felt that yet. I haven't seen that yet where I'm at, that he has any sort of loneliness going on. I just feel like that seems like he's good at making friends, but he seems like he has a goal and he's getting to that goal. And because he's good at making friends, he meets friends along the way. I don't know. I haven't felt that yet. Maybe I will. I don't know. Let me know if it gets more where you see a loneliness in him as it goes on, because I have seen nothing.
And it's not hard to see why. His mom is absent. His father has left. Shanks, his hero, has left. He was led to believe one of his
Okay, that's a good way to put it, but I haven't seen that he is, in fact, lonely about those things yet, if that makes sense.
sworn brothers was dead, and the other, like everyone else, left him alone to embark on his own adventure. And so, although that initial naivety may have been resolved in Chapter 1, Luffy embarked on his journey into the East Blue harboring a flaw that would not rear its head until much, much later.
Okay.
待てよ、こんなのダメよ。
Another one of these little clips that make it copyrighted.
Luffy is surprisingly ill-equipped when it comes to emotional conflict with his crew, and in being forced to deal with it here, this goal of persistent companionship bubbles up to the surface. As Usopp lets forth a devastating outburst brought on by insecurity, Luffy is put in a position wholly new to him. Rather than being an observer of tough decision-making like he did with Nami and Zoro, he becomes a participant. He's forced to choose between his two goals. He doesn't want to break up his family, but in order to be the captain the rest of his crew deserves, he must. This is why I love this scene. For the first time in the series, Luffy is offered a
I hadn't been there yet, so I'm not totally following.
dilemma that speaks to his deepest desires and forces him to choose. And through doing so, brings out the very best of his supporting cast.
迷うな。お前がフラフラしてやがったら、
That's not his voice. That's got to be Zoro's voice.
俺たちは誰を信じれ
I'm doing the dub because I suck at reading.
ばいいんだ。
Whenever I did my reactions on the other channel, a lot of people thank me for doing the dub, and some of them, they get mad that
For
I
me,
did the dub.
my favorite part of One Piece has never been the fights or the
But it's literally just a choice because I want to be able to enjoy it. I read so slow.
grand adventure or
And I don't comprehend half of what I read, so it ends up being this big old thing where it's like, yeah, okay, I can read slowly, I can get it all read if I pause, but then I didn't actually comprehend what I read.
and the colorful locations we all get to explore and enjoy. All of those offer a tremendous amount to appreciate, but nothing compares to the dynamic Luffy has with his crew. Within One Piece, the story itself isn't so much the story of Luffy alone, but instead, his relationship with his crew members and the enemies he faces.
Okay.
Think about it. Luffy's ultimate goal is to become the king of the pirates, to find the fabled One Piece treasure. He's unabashedly himself, loud, in your face, and will literally move heaven and earth for his friends. In spite of his...
Now that I am getting that, absolutely. Starting with Koby, because it was like, even though he hadn't even known him long enough to be a friend, he was willing to fight Koby just to make him look good in the eyes of the people that he wanted to be with, which again was the opposite of what he is, a pirate. And I'm blown away by that. That's true love.
boisterousness, he feels like a righteous and well-intentioned character that deeply cares for his friends. But he only feels as righteous as he does because of the characters that don't align with these beliefs within the story. Arlong was cruel, vengeful, and dishonest. Crocodile was cruel too, and deeply manipulative. This even extends to the world government, or Emu. These are characters that are totally antithetical to what Luffy has been designed to be.
Okay.
Where Luffy loudly declares his desires and goals, Emu hides and operates in the shadows.
Okay, let me know if I should do a video on Emu. I keep hearing about this Emu. I have no idea what Emu is. Is he some sort of... What is that? Like, I don't even know. I've only started recently even understanding that Emu is a single character and not like a race of people or something. So let me know if there's a great video out there, what it is, put it in the comments, and that will be very helpful to figure out what Emu even is.
Where Luffy will die for his team and carry the lion's share of the burden when necessary, those in power within the world of One Piece not only force others to enact their bidding, but also tear those less powerful than themselves down further.
Right.
Those are the components that make Luffy stand out, and it works both ways. Those aforementioned villains feel all the more monstrous when put up against Luffy himself. If you plop Luffy into another story, he might still feel like
Let me know if I should watch a video on the gears as well. They look silly. It's funny.
a fun character, but suddenly he's a lot less interesting. This is because the world of One Piece has been defined and designed around highlighting all of Luffy's strengths and weaknesses. To this end, his crewmates shine a light on his best qualities and in some instances expose his weaknesses, painful as they are to see. But for me, insight into weakness is far more effective than any highlight of strength.
Okay.
Or to put it another way, great characters are often defined by who they are not and what they cannot do.
Okay, I like that. No, that's true for Superman as well. Yeah, I like that. He can't poop? What's going on?
I've often spoken about how I love Goku and Luffy in the same breath, but what they offer mechanically and emotionally within the respective stories is vastly different. I think part of Goku's appeal for me is how much emotional space there is between him and most every other character. Heck, even the audience, really. He doesn't look at situations very often the same way many others do.
Okay.
There is an emotional disconnect that creates this almost superhuman presence at times where he acts as this entity descending from on high to save the day through circumstance.
Okay.
He values his friends, their safety, and all the rest of it, but that often takes a backseat to his desire to satiate this need for combat. A desire that is
Yeah, I've been told that a lot. I've seen that a lot myself. Reacting to the abridged series, not the actual show, because Toei is very difficult. But, is it Toei? Is that how you say it? But yeah, I have noticed that he seems to, that desire to battle and get stronger goes above everything else.
almost impossible for us to fully rationalize. Whereas Luffy, as made evident numerous times throughout his journey, is specifically driven by his desire to protect his friends, to protect their dreams, to protect their treasure. Through his journey to garner a crew, Luffy, in pursuit of his own treasure, has created this secondary treasure, one I do not think he would give up to achieve his primary goal. When Goku lost Krillin on Namek to Frieza, he snapped into a violent rage. It was no longer about saving his friends or being the strongest he can be. For that instant, it was just rage and vengeance. When Luffy lost his crew in Sabaody, one by one they were taken away from him, and after each and every one was taken, Luffy became more and more desperate and incensed until they were all gone. And what happened then? He collapses to the ground with nothing left. This is a remarkably special moment
he wasn't pooping. Okay.
in this series, and it is such because it's the first time we've seen what Luffy looks like in total despair. Ever a beacon of hope in the series, now there is none.
I will be looking forward to that moment. Right now, I'm not really feeling the emotion of it, but yeah, I'll be looking forward to that moment, especially since it involves Kuma. I learned about Kuma. Was that Kuma? And he is definitely an interesting character.
He's lost his crew. He's lost his friends, his family. He's lost his treasure. Each and every time you compare a character to the hero, unconsciously.
Wait, so you're saying that the Jolly Roger treasure, whatever it's called, the One Piece, forgot what that was called. You're saying that's not his actual treasure? That's not, so he's already got his treasure?
You're forced to distinguish and define the hero in new ways. But what I love about this scene and the arc that precedes it isn't so much what other characters can do for Luffy, but instead what he as a character does to enhance and highlight the supporting cast.
Oh yeah, I see that from the beginning. Again, Koby instantly, even with Zoro very beginning, yeah, for sure. That's with the mayor of that town. I mean, he absolutely does that.
Without any of them being present in the scene. What follows Sabaody is perhaps the single best way Oda could have ever employed this writing principle, and it's all contained in what I think is one of the most critically underrated arcs the series has seen, Amazon Lily.
Not with you talking, dude.
As I mentioned earlier, a large part of what defines a character, especially a main character, are the choices they make and the differences that come about thanks to the comparisons between them and other characters. Normally, this technique is used to serve the main character and the main villain of a given area or segment. But what makes this segment of Amazon Lily so impressive to me is that without anyone other than Luffy himself, he raises his own stock, the villains of this arc stock, and without anyone else to share the screen or page with, he improves our appreciation and consideration of the Straw Hat Pirates just by existing. That is incredible design, and I don't know if I've ever seen any other character do that.
I do think that Oda's a genius, and a lot of the things he's saying, I realize that Oda, the amount he pre-thinks before he does stuff is incredible.
And how does Oda achieve this? Simply by allowing Luffy to be Luffy. Alone in Amazon Lily, he falls sick, reminding us of Chopper's usefulness. He becomes hungry, reminding us of how important Sanji is to him. He gets lost, informing us on how important Nami's navigation is.
I'm picking up on what he's saying now. Okay.
He's alone without back.
I thought I was, but I clearly was not.
Up, showing us how important his crew is, and most specifically, Zoro. It intentionally goes on.
That little flash he put up there.
his crew is, and most specifically, Zoro.
Not for his navigation skills, LO. Okay, that wasn't worth going back for.
It intentionally goes on like this until he runs into a situation with Boa Hancock and her crew, where again, simply by Luffy marching to the beat of his own drum, he enhances our appreciation of him and emphasizes
Blue shirt.
the antagonist's defining
Not used to seeing me in blue.
characteristics.
お前らが俺を殺したくても俺はお前らを殺す気はねえ
See, that is a Superman mentality right there. Doesn't want to kill him.
Normally, when I'm reading a story, I can appreciate the writing based on what I see happening, where I see the story going and how I can see the author deciding to get there. But when we
Did he rip those pages out of there? What happened?
arrived at Amazon Lily, I've never been so taken aback and impressed by a shonen story like this. Writers like Eiichiro Oda want us to resonate with their tales on a deep and personal level,
Okay.
to get lost in them and through doing so gain deeper insight into our own
What are all these clips from, guys? I'd like to know that. What, are they commercials or something in Japan? Like, what is that?
feelings and emotions. This is made evident through the countless flashbacks he incorporates and his dedication to establishing each and every character
Okay.
the crew interacts with. Little their role might be, in Oda's One Piece, there are no vapid characters.
Okay.
Everything is deliberate, everything has life. Sometimes the art of storytelling is best delivered when you don't notice the subtle techniques and themes that reside underneath the surface. And far be it from me to deny anyone the wonderful experience it must be to get sucked away into a world to enjoy it how you want to. And if all you get from Luffy's character is the amusement of a funny, stretchy rubber man who hits the bad guys hard and loves food,
Okay.
then so be it. There's certainly value in that form of escapism. But it's important to realize that that is not all there is
Oh my.
to One Piece. And that's okay. It is precisely why Eiichiro Oda is a once-in-a-lifetime storyteller. In his immersive and colorful world where people can wield the power of supernatural beings, bending elements and people to their will through magic and political influence, when all of that is present in your story, and your most powerful moments can still be a kid placing a hat on a young girl's head, or a
That's a really interesting way. Wow, that was a very interesting way of putting that. Oh, wow.
moment
Okay.
of utter despair
All right.
when one falls to his knees, then that is when you know you are dealing with something truly special, something with artistic substance, and in the case of Monkey D. Luffy, an unmistakably genius character.
Wow, guys, that was a very good video. Recommend more to me. There was something I asked for y'all if I should learn about, what is it, Emu. Is that what it's called? Let me know, because I really know nothing about that character. I can't figure out whenever they're talking about it in videos what they're even talking about. Like, I thought it was a race for a while. And so I'm realizing now that's not the case. But let me know, guys. Remember, like Superman, live humbly, do good.